Once upon a time, in an African village called Orwoake, there lived a lady named Iabo. In this village, a woman's beauty was defined by how slender her waist was. The slimmer a woman's waist, the more attractive she was considered by the men. When Iabo was a little girl, she had a normal weight just like every other girl her age. However, as she grew older, she developed an uncontrollable eating habit. There was no portion of food that Iabo could not finish. She would clear her plate in no time, no matter how much food she was served. It was not long before she became the fattest lady in the entire village of Orwoake. As Iabo gained more and more weight, all the men in the village stopped admiring her or even asking her out on date. One by one, all her female friends got married, leaving only the fat Iabo still living in her father's house, growing older with each passing day. Her father, Mr. Shogun, became very worried that his daughter would never find a husband. Iabo's younger sisters had all gotten married and were living happily with their husbands. Only Iabo was left behind, still single and unmarried. This weighed heavily on Mr. Shogun's mind. As the caring father that he was, he took it upon himself to look for a suitable husband for his daughter, Iabo. Before it was too late. One day, Mr. Shogun heard that the son of one of his good friends, a young man named Tayo, who had just returned to the village after living in the city for many years, was looking to take a wife. Excited at this golden opportunity, Mr. Shogun quickly told his friend all about his daughter Iabo. A date was fixed for Tayo to come and meet Iabo with the intent of possibly marrying her. When Iabo heard about the potential husband visiting, she was overjoyed. Could this finally be her chance to get married, like all her friends and sisters? The night before Taya's visit, the excited Iabo spent hours dressing and grooming her beautifully in preparation to meet her would-be husband. The next day, Tayo arrived at Iabo's family compound. But as soon as he set his eyes on the very fat Iabo, his face fell in excitement. This was clearly not the beautiful woman he had imagined marrying. "I cannot marry this mountain of a woman," Tayo said rudely, staring at Iabo's large body in disgust. First, without another word, he turned and left the compound. Iabo was utterly heartbroken. All the joy and excitement she had felt moments ago fizzled away instantly. She went back to her room, locked the door, and cried uncontrollably for days. "I will turn single and alone. No man will ever want to marry me," she cried over and over again. After spending days caught up crying in her room, Iabo finally got tired of hiding away and feeling depressed. There had to be a solution to her problem, she thought. She knew exactly where to turn. She would visit the great river goddess. Iabo left the house and walked through the village until she reached the river's edge. Taking a deep breath, she called out in a loud voice, "Great river goddess, please hold my call and comfort. I am in dear need of your assistance." As if by magic, the river's surface began to bubble and churn. Then an incredibly beautiful woman with shiny blue skin emerged from the churning waters. It was the river goddess herself. "What can I do for you, young lady?" The river goddess asked. "Please, great goddess, make me slim and beautiful like the other ladies my age." Iabo pleaded, tears her eyes again. "All the men in the village have rejected me because of my body size. All my friends are married, and here I am, still unwanted and alone. Please help me become slim, so I can find a husband to marry me. I beg of you." The river goddess regarded Iabo with a look of pity and understanding. "My dear, you are beautiful just the way you are. You must learn to love yourself. Despite what others may think, however, I will assist you. Before the next market day, you will find a man who will love you, cherish you, and take you as his wife. This I promise." Iabo thought about what the river goddess had said. The promise of finally finding a husband was thrilling, but this was not enough for Iabo anymore. Her face hardened with hatred and anger. First, she began, "I want all the men in this village that rejected and humiliated me all these years to suffer. I wanted to pay for all the pain that they put me through with their cruel walls and look of disgust." The river goddess was silent for a moment. Then she simply said, "It is done. Your wish is granted." The next morning, a great confusion broke out in the village of Orwoake. All the men awoke to find their man who had completely vanished overnight. No explanation could be found for why their male organs had mysteriously disappeared. Panicked, the men rushed to consult the village juju priest, a man considered to have great mystical powers and knowledge of the spirit world. It was who gave the men the shocking answer for their plight after consulting his oracle. "It is Iabo, the fat woman who has taken away all your man, whose as an art of revenge for the humiliation and rejoicing she had suffered at your hands for so many years," the juju priest claimed. "The only way for your man who's to be restored is for every man to sleep with Iabo. Until then, you all will remain as you are, incomplete men." The collective groan went through the crowd of men as they realized their fate. The juju priest's words were absolute. If they wanted to be made whole again, they would have to sleep with the fattest, most undesirable woman in the village. It was a devastating blow to their egos, but the men had no choice. One by one, they lined up outside Iabo's hut, waiting for their turn to sleep with the woman they had scorned for so long. Surprisingly, and despite their initial repulsion, Iabo appeared instantly attractive to the men the moment they stepped into her hut to lay with her. The men would literally spend hours upon hours competing with Iabo, their man who's come energetic and insatiable when with her, yet totally inactive and limp when they tried to lay with their wives or any other woman in the village. They were powerless against the hold Iabo had over them, for Iabo it was a total bliss and vindication. This was everything she had always dreamed about, to be desired by every man, to be seen as the most beautiful and looted-after woman in the village, instead of a fat, undesirable one. The wives tried everything to lure their husbands back, even threatening to leave them. But the men simply could not pull themselves away from Iabo's intoxicating and bewitching spell. After many days' torment, the fed-up wives finally went to the juju priest, demanding that he must find a way to break their husbands free from Iabo's course and restore their man who was once and for all. There must be some counterspell that can overpower this dark magic Iabo has employed. They played with the juju priest. "Our homes and families are being turned apart. You have to help us." The juju priest, taking pity on these women, cast his bones and consented his mystical oracle once more. After several long moments and some wiggling of his nose, he finally spoke. "Yes, there's a way to break this curse over your husbands," he said. "You must take this spot that possesses ancient magic." He handed the wife a small pot. "Spray the content around the airbus hot, and should we fall into a deep sleep, then chant this countercourse phrase I will teach you. Desper overure will be dissolved. Their man who has an ability to desire other women will instantly be restored." The wives crunched the pot in their hands like it was the most precious jewel in the world. They quickly learned the countercourse phrase from the juju priest, thanking him for his help. That night, while the men were once again in Iabo's hut, the wives set their plan into motion. Under the darkness, they crept into Iabo's compound silently. With steady hands, the wives carefully spread the white border in the port around Iabo's hut.